A couple months ago, Garnt released Baan on YouTube for everyone to watch, and while it does tell a beautiful story about someone's home, he has also managed to drop in a bunch of bits and pieces about the world's lore that we probably missed the first time we watched the anime, so I'm making this video just to talk about some of those things and also just share my personal thoughts on the anime. The first thing I want to talk about is the existence of zones other than Euthenia. At the start of the anime, we are told that Euthenia is a threat level 2 zone, which does seem kind of random at first, but if you look closely, you can actually see a description of all the threat levels on the screen. These descriptions are in Japanese, but I'll throw up a translation for you guys to read. Although this might look like a minor thing, this might actually be hinting towards Garnt's world being just a much bigger world than what we saw during the show. Another thing that supports this idea is actually the attack during the big dragon ritual thingy. During this ritual, the Euthenians seem to be prepared for an attack of at least some scale, but the Ursha's appearance during the festival was a surprise to everyone, which might mean that they come from a zone that's a higher threat level than Euthenia? Cause, why would you not be prepared for enemies that live next door? This is obviously just speculation, but it is something that would explain why the Euthenians were just not prepared for them to show up.
You were only shown a fraction of the world. You were only shown a tiny fraction of the world that we have crafted and the world that we have created. I wouldn't say it's cut, because it still exists. The world still exists. I know how it works. I know what the intricacies are. It was something that we had crafted as a team with Studio Daisy. So I wouldn't say anything was cut. I would say what you saw of the world was exactly what needed to be shown to tell this particular story.
Moving on, I want to talk about how the anime mentions this miracle that takes place once every 200 years, because I think it might actually be talking about this Naga festival ritual thingy. Okay, so firstly, I think it's fair to assume that if there is a cool miracle that takes place only once every 200 years, you'd want to put it in your anime for the world to see. Secondly, we already know that the lifespan of the Naga is at least 100 years because of this clip.
Apparently the groundwater is seeping out from the dragon's lair, so the dragon is also seen as a god representing water or something, and every 100 years the water completely dries up the area, and that's a sign that the dragon is being at its weakest.
So, the dragon lives for a century before even entering its weak state. Now, does that mean that the Naga takes another 100 years just to reach the end of his life cycle? I don't really know, but I can't really think of anything else being the miracle because the Naga is actually just really cool. Unless the miracle is actually this. In which case I agree. But anyways, would love to know if you guys think that the Naga's festival could potentially be the miracle. So let me know. Another small thing that's actually really cool about the Naga is that it grows up really fast. Like it went from being an egg to being able to keep Daichi afloat mid-air by the time Rin brought it to safety. And it just continues to grow even more. Like it literally looks like this tadpole dragon thing during the funeral being held for Rin's parents and everyone else. The funeral scene is also the first time we see Rin's wings in a different color, so let's talk about it for a little bit. We know that Rin's wings change in color when she's sad, but this isn't exactly the whole truth. Here's a scene where she's crying after a terrible day at work, but her wings are still pink. However, as she spends more time on Earth, we can see her wings are blue again, and her day-to-day life doesn't seem to bring her any joy. She stopped using magic in all aspects of her life and is just trying her best to fit it in a place where she just doesn't belong. This shows that it takes something much deeper than a bad day at work for the Euthenian wings to change in color. This is where I want to stop and take the time to look at the similarities of both these events that led to Rin's wings turning blue. The first time it happened, Rin had just lost both her parents and almost everyone she knew, which caused a lot of grief and brought this feeling of hopelessness. I believe Rin experiences a similar loss when she leaves Euthenia and Daichi behind, although this time I agree that it's somewhat self-inflicted. She tries to be the strong person when she first leaves, but as more time passes, she really misses her home in Daichi. Towards the end, when she finally receives Daichi's message and decides to go back home, her wings are pink again. I think this is where she realizes that no matter how much of a burden on Daichi she thinks she is, she will always have a home back in Euthenia, where Daichi will be waiting for her. When I first watched Baan during the live premiere, I was really confused. I didn't understand much of what was trying to be told, and I was just upset at myself because I really wanted to love Garn's anime and support him, and I just kind of felt bad for not enjoying it. But after thinking about the message that the anime tries to convey for a while, and rewatching the short film in Japanese, I understood the message a little bit better and had much better opinions about the anime. The thought that I'll always have a home where people will love me despite time spent apart leaves me with a really warm, fuzzy feeling, and although I have never left home, I hope I can appreciate this short film just a little bit more when I finally move out. Thank you guys for watching.